Your next reading is FinTech in Investment Management. The first OLS says describe FinTech. Well, what is FinTech? FinTech involves technological innovation in the design and delivery of financial services, brokerage, investment banking, insurance, so on and so forth. FinTech basically is the use of technology in areas traditionally dominated by humans. Now machines are doing the job. So there is a massive change taking place in the world of finance. It has led to development of new advanced systems for investment advice, financial planning, business lending, and payment. So FinTech basically includes technological innovation in automation in financial literacy, advice and education, wealth management, credit administration, money transfers, payments, investment management, and much more. Okay, now the next LOS describe big data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. What is big data? Big data is a term used to refer to complex, extremely large data that may be analyzed computationally to reveal some patterns, some trends, some associations. So why do we call it big data? Because the data set is so enormous that it cannot be processed through conventional means. When you say big data, it might include videos, it might include photos, it might include some information placed on the website, some audios, some databases, right? So this is a huge set of data which cannot be processed in the conventional means. So then we say traditional data, of course. Traditional data sources such as company reports, stock exchange sources, data gathered from government. And when we say non-traditional data also called the alternative data, it is the data gathered from social media. When you say social media, I mean Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so on and so forth. So non-traditional data is extracted from social media, from electronic devices, what you call the Internet of Things, some sensor networks. So the next area concerns defining properties of big data. Big data properties can be expressed as 3 V's: volume, velocity, and variety. When you say volume, the data could be in MBs, GBs, terabytes. It could be huge. So when you say volume, the amount of data collected in various forms, including files, records, tables. So the quantities of data reach almost extremely large, incomprehensible proportions. That's volume. Velocity means the speed of data processing can be extremely high. In most cases, for us financial analysts, we deal with real-time or near real-time data, right? So we can make decisions here. So real-time is instantaneously, near real-time almost same, periodic after a week, and batch when the batch is processed and then you get data. So the third part is variety. The number of types and formats of data could be very varied. Social media, photos, videos, from websites, from tables, databases, audio, could be structured, unstructured, even from mobile. So data could be structured, means it's in proper form, or it could be unstructured, that is just raw data without any meaningful correlation between them, and it could be somewhere in between, called the semi-structured. Let us discuss it a bit. When we say structured data basically refers to information with high degree of organization. When the data is organized in a form that is very meaningful. Items can be organized into tables and are more easily understandable. So such data is commonly stored in databases where each field represents the same type of information. Like if you just want to see the net income of various hedge funds at year end, so the data in this form is called structured, organized. But when we say unstructured data refers to information with low degree of organization. Items are unorganized and cannot be presented in a tabular form, such as you can see the text messages, tweets, emails, so on. And then somewhere in between we have semi-structured data that may have the qualities of both structured and unstructured data. The next is, what are the sources of data? The first source, financial markets. When we say financial markets, we mean equity markets, swaps market, future markets, options, and other derivatives. Then businesses, financial statements, credit card purchases, and many commercial transactions, so they represent another source of data. Then governments. From governments we have economic data, trade data, employment data, payroll data. From individuals, their product reviews, their credit card purchases, their social media posts, and so on and so forth. And then finally we have different sectors like shipping, cargo information, traffic data, satellite imagery, and then finally IoT. Now this is very interesting thing, Internet of Things, IoTs, data generated by smart devices, CCTV cameras, vehicles, home appliances, right? So these are all sources of data. The next area is artificial intelligence versus machine learning. That's the last part of this LOS. When we say artificial intelligence means machines that can perform tasks in ways that are intelligent. So basically, artificial intelligence is the development of computer systems that exhibit cognitive and decision-making abilities that are sometimes comparable and sometimes even superior to those of human beings. So artificial intelligence can take the form of if-then statement. If this, then. If that, then. If 10% interest rate goes up, then. So it could be as simple as if-then statements, or it could be more complex statistical model that map raw sensory data into more symbolic categories. So it's more complex domain which we don't want to go into. So this is the domain of artificial intelligence. So when we say machine learning, so machine learning is basically a current application of artificial intelligence based on the idea that machines can do more than just following coded instructions that are embedded in the codes in the computer program. So it is the idea that when exposed to more data, machines can make changes on their own. Machines can learn and they can come up with solutions to problems without reliance on human intervention, human expertise, and they can improve their performance over time as they do it again and again and again. Alright, then types of machine learning. One is supervised learning, as the term suggests. Computers learn to model data based on some labeled training data that contains both input and desired output. So it's like more constrained learning, where computer is provided a boundary within which it has to learn and act, right? So each training example has one or more inputs and a desired output. So it's like more a guided training. A computer has a limit and a boundary within which it can learn its input and give the output. So for fintech, it could be trying to, let's say, the application of machine learning in fintech is trying to predict the performance of a stock, either up, down, or level, during the next business day. It can be modeled through supervised learning, providing a boundary to the systems. Then the next is unsupervised learning. When we say unsupervised learning, computers are only given input data and are tasked with describing the data, for instance, by grouping or clustering of data points itself. Computer learn from data itself. Computer learns from data that has not been labeled or categorized. The computers can then react based on the presence or absence of any commonalities. So for example, trying to group companies based on their financial characteristics and not on geographical or industrial characteristics. So the companies can be categorized by the system this way. Okay. Next, LOS is describe fintech applications to investment management. The first application is analysis of large data sets. Well, Fintech can analyze large data sets consisting of share prices, financial statements, economic indicators, and other qualitative bits of information. So such a huge data then can be processed and results are integrated into a portfolio manager's investment decision making process. Some complex algorithms have been developed to make use of social media and other sensor networks in search of consumer sentiments and product performance data. So this could feed into the decision making process. So this is the first application. Automated trading. Automated trading means now we have more systems that are built to identify systematic investment strategies, and they automatically execute multiple trades over several financial markets worldwide, called mostly, I'm sure you would be familiar with the high frequency trade. So system will place buy and sell orders itself by analyzing large sets of data. So the major selling point is increased market destinations. You can transact in many financial markets worldwide. Investment banking departments have reduced number of employees considerably by the application of automated trading. So this is a major application of fintech to investment management. Then the third one is analytical tool. Machine learning algorithms built to sort through enormous amounts of financial data. So much data is there. So we can use this fintech application into analyzing large sets of data from companies' filings, from earning calls, profit warnings. So these algorithms are then able to identify or unearth trends and identify buy and sell stocks. So this could be very helpful for decision making in investment advice. Then we have automated advice. Robo-advisors called internet-based intelligent models that provide investment advice with minimal human intervention. So such systems, they will simply sign you up. You will complete a short survey about your investment needs and risk tolerance. So then the system will develop an automated investment plan for you. And another interesting application of fintech is in risk management. Big data contains variety of information. It may include liquidity information of a company and its competitors and the balance sheet and cash flow position. So as a result, big data models can be built to aggregate, analyze, and interpret this data in real time. So this way, it is now possible to identify weakening positions and adverse trends in advance. So we can manage risk using fintech as well. Next, LOS says describe financial applications of distributed ledger technology, called DLT. So what is distributed ledger technology? A distributed ledger technology basically is a database held and updated independently by each participant in a large network. So this is the network, and these are the different participants. Each participant is called node, and it's a very large network. So rather than having a central authority, records are independently constructed and held by every node, by every computer. So each node, basically, whichever you see here, has the ability to process a transaction and come up with a conclusion. All these nodes, then they must agree, they must vote on the conclusion. If the majority agrees with the conclusion, the transaction is complete, successful, and all nodes maintain their own identical copy of ledger. So it means not a single computer can manipulate numbers. So there is no need for centralized data bank as in the case of traditional ledger. Here the data is scattered across different ledgers. It is consistent. Each node has the same set of data. So if you want to manipulate the data, you will have to change the data on hundreds and thousands of nodes across the globe. So then what makes DLT so good? The first concept is called cryptography. Cryptography, I'm sure you would know from your earlier studies. Cryptography basically refers to an algorithmic encryption of data such that it is unusable in the hands of an unauthorized person. Let's say I am an unauthorized person sitting here. If I try to gain access to the system, and if I somehow get my hands on the data is in the form that is unusable to me. It is encrypted. So as a result, we can say the distributed ledger technology has a high level of security and integrity. The next application of DLT is smart contract. Like for example, send me 5 Ethereum. Ethereum is one of the cryptocurrencies. Send 5 Ethereum if contract is executed. So this contract is mutually agreed between two parties upon conditions for execution, if this then that. So let's say this is the contract on the network. Many systems will be connected as nodes in this network. So use of code and maths to decide if contract conditions are met as originally agreed. If so, then funds are transferred automatically to the receiver. Receives 5 Ethereum if contract is executed. So what basically smart contracts are? Smart contracts are computer programs that self-execute on the basis of pre-specified terms and conditions. Once the performance is done, the funds are transferred or the performance obligation is completed automatically. So this is relevant in derivatives market, for instance. The system could be so such that daily settlements are made automatically in line with the daily market movements. If a counterparty defaults on payment, collateral can be transferred to the relevant party instantaneously. So in this, no human intervention is required. The system will make this contract work. So this is the application of distributed ledger technology. Area is blockchain technology. What is a blockchain basically? A blockchain is basically a type of digital ledger in which information such as changes in ownership of an asset is recorded sequentially within the blocks that are then linked together and secured using cryptography. So basically a blockchain is a decentralized public database or ledger that can record transactions in a verifiable, permanent way in a trustless environment where basically you don't have to be worried about the manipulation in data. So each block is made up of group of transactions that are linked to a previous block. So this works this way: a block then links to the next block, and then this goes on and on. So this chain would be available on thousands of computers across the globe. So there is almost no way that one person can manipulate the data. Then next, cryptocurrencies. So what are cryptocurrencies, or what is a cryptocurrency? A cryptocurrency basically is an electronic currency which enables payments to be sent between users without passing through some central authority, such as a bank or a payment gateway. Like if I want to transfer some funds to a person X, I will have to use some banking mechanism or some gateway that will enable the payment. But under the cryptocurrency technology, there is no need for any central authority. Most cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, they use open DLT systems where decentralized distributed ledger is used to record and verify all transactions. Another important application of distributed ledger technology is what is called as tokenization. Now, what is tokenization? Tokenization is the process of converting rights to an asset. For example, that asset could be a share, it could be a bond, even it could be a building. So tokenization is basically the process of converting rights to such an asset into a digital token. Like this token indicates that I have rights, ownership right on these shares. Right? So this is all done on distributed ledger technology on a blockchain. So DTL or DLT, it streamlines this process by creating a single digital record of ownership with which to verify ownership, title and authenticity. So there is no way that my ownership can then be manipulated by someone else. So that's the benefit of DLT, that the ownership can be authenticated, it can be verified, unlike in our real world where the documents can be forged. So this is an important concept to be remembered. Then we have post-trade clearing and settlement. A trade has occurred, now there is clearing and settlement to be done. So it's sometimes time consuming. as it requires multiple iterations between counterparties and financial intermediaries. So DLT has the ability to streamline the entire clearing and settlement process, and it can be done in real time or near real time. The trade verification, reconciliation, settlement could be done almost in seconds. So this is the application of DLT. It will be less time consuming. Then compliance. Yes, there is a lot of regulation in stock exchanges and investment management. So in the face of ever increasing rules and regulations in the field of investment, DLT can help firms ensure compliance by enabling real-time review of transaction. A transaction occurs and immediately it is verified by someone else. A transaction occurs, it is immediately authenticated by someone else and on the system, on the nodes. So this would help in compliance in real time, where very less time is taken in clearing as well as in ensuring that the laws have been complied with. So this would eliminate the need for large post-trade monitoring teams, and it will of course reduce a lot of cost, and it will increase operational efficiency. So imagine DLT can speed up your clearing, settlement, as well as ensuring the compliance is done immediately after every transaction occurs. So that completes your fintech and investment management.